Welcome back to New Realities. This is a program about the evolution of consciousness, and people tapping into these higher realms of consciousness are probably the most exciting thing that I can think of to be part of this program. Of course, my co-host, Suzanne Ross, who has another fantastic event coming up in September 2024. So, Suzanne, go ahead, tell everyone, and then we'll introduce our guest, Jamye Price. So then just
Thank you, Alan. I'm
go.
just so excited to be offering again our Sedona Transcendence Retreat, which is held every year during the fall equinox. So, as best we can align the spring equinox dates for the Sedona Ascension Retreat in March, and then the fall equinox retreat is called the Sedona Transcendence Retreat. And we were able to reserve the venue right on the fall equinox. So we really get to immerse ourselves in that powerful equinox window. And so I'm so delighted about that. It is held at the Global Center for Christ Consciousness in Sedona, which is such an incredibly beautiful venue. There's really such a feeling of honoring the sacred there. Michael Murdad's ministry, and there's pictures of archangels and ascended masters and Buddha and Jesus. And so it's just got a very sacred feeling. And I love having events there. And it's a little bit more intimate
Mm,
versus the large, 750 people conference at the gorgeous Sedona Performing Arts Center. This is a little bit more intimate, 200 plus people still, but the stage is really close to the audience. So there's a lot of opportunity to be really interactive with the audience members. So I call it an immersion retreat where people really drop in for
mm.
3 days, and we have these incredible presentations, which are very interactive. We have performances, sound journey performances. John Dumas, award-winning musician, and Aurora Luna Star playing the crystal bowls. And then Lisa McCardle, she does the guided meditation, shamanic journeys during the sound performance. So that's
Right,
a very exciting part of our retreat. We
right.
offer outdoor journeys and indoor workshops, just like the Sedona Ascension Retreat. And I'll pause. Alan, did you have a comment?
No, I just have a comment. How to get tickets? I don't see a ticket link here on the poster. How would you get tickets for this?
Yeah, so right at the top under Sedona Transcendence
Oh,
Retreat,
I see.
it says
Yes.
SedonaTranscendenceRetreat.com. And
Okay.
that's where you go. You can see all the details of the retreat. Here on the flyer, you can see the, cast of such beautifully spiritually inspired, heart-centered beings that are part of the retreat. And someone who I have become friends with. She's a soul sister here in Sedona, who's been in Sedona for quite some time, really offering light language. She's got a beautiful book out, a deck of cards. She offers sessions, workshops, her own personal events. So let's introduce the beautiful Jamye Price. Welcome, Jamye, and thank you so much for joining us and for saying yes to be part of this Transcendence Retreat.
Yes, James,
Thank
I
you.
want to get to know what you do. So, do you want to do a brief introduction to your work?
Certainly. So, hello, Alan. Hello, Suzanne. And hello, everyone. Hopefully, I will be meeting you here in Sedona. So, those of you that may know me from my work with light language, I've been doing light language and teaching it around the world for over a decade now. And that has been such a joy to see how it's expanding, which, of course, it was always meant to do because it's very natural to us. And then I also channel Ariane, the Lyran Council of Time. I created a modality with them called Crystalline Soul Healing that is a Lyran template technology. It's based on how they understand the universal laws and our interaction with this. So it's very much about bringing us up to that blending of human and subtle, or human and universal, which is what this natural expansion that we're all going through is all about. Light language, especially, being such a beautiful indicator of that multidimensional communication that is available to us all. And of course, that is what I'll be focusing on at the Sedona Transcendence Retreat.
Thank you, Jamie. And I love your story at the beginning of your book and how transparent you are about everything that unfolded over time that really brought you in to this ability to start first. I don't know if it was first, but you started doing this energy healing process called crystalline soul healing. Can you talk about like the process and the, how you progressed into the channel of light?
Yes. Yes. So, one of the things that I like to point out to people is I was not a psychic child. And I love that we all have different experiences, but my psychic senses started opening up what turned out to be around the harmonic convergence. And then it would increase over time. So I didn't know what to expect with guide communication or psychic senses. I mean, my only exposure to it before that was a commercial of a man getting on a plane suddenly stops. So when that was occurring, I didn't realize what was happening. I was just like, why am I having all of these weird thoughts about the healing properties of the color green? Or when I was suddenly seeing auras on people, or my own impulse to start healing myself. So I was just kind of with the wonderment of a child, observing and following along with the things that were naturally occurring. And once I finally started realizing I was getting some of that direct communication, and that I was having psychic impressions that were proven true within hours, that were so far out I could not have imagined them, then I started that communication more and more. And I just became obsessed with healing when I would have my own healing experiences by following those impulses. So, what my guides did with me is they taught me over the course of quite a few years some of the different aspects of healing as I was working on friends and family and then clients. And that's how they built the crystalline soul healing template, because I was naturally obsessed with what I was learning and experiencing. And so I just started making lists and lists of all of the things that I was learning or encountering. And that began that process of developing the crystalline soul healing modality, which is actually silent. It runs in the background. There's no movement or sound to it. So it corresponds very well with the light language because of that. And for me, that was such a powerful part of understanding that communication process. And they made things very simple, and they added on to them over time, so that within the simplicity of what we experience, we understand that there's a complexity there, even if we don't understand the totality of the complexity. And that's what started that whole journey of expanding my galactic heritage, expanding my understanding of healing, and really developing something that makes the complex very simple.
That's great. Did you also, you said that everyone can do light language in the introduction. How do you mean? What do you mean? I
Yeah.
mean, or explain what light language is and how do we do it?
Yes. So light language is very natural to us. And of course, it's known under so many different names. It's referenced throughout history in all kinds of sacred texts. Some call it speaking in tongues, but light language is our natural multidimensional communication where we're accessing other flows of communication or language or information. So, light language is just a nonlinear direct communication. It's just a unique form of channeling where we open to that vast communication. And through that, we speak on a level that's more attuned to our nonlinear nature. So, just
Mm.
like a channel brings in vast information into something specific, that's what we do with light language, where we're accessing that connective layer of language. And some of that is from our own DNA, it's from our own soul stream. Some of that is from other beings that are channeling through us in a language that's known to them. But we have that natural capability to understand things on a nonlinear level. And I like to relate it to things that we're very familiar with, because we do this kind of thing all the time. We're just taking it into a broader conscious understanding. But we're very used to reading body language. Am I annoyed? Am I cold? I don't know. You have to contextualize it a little, but we're accustomed to that. So with light language, we're allowing that multidimensional communication to come through in its natural form, rather than our memorized and contextualized linear languages. And I say that anyone can do this because we are all natural channels. We are constantly doing that in different ways. And so it's ultimately a matter of just attuning to that bandwidth of light language. There's many ways you don't need to, that you can still access that communication in other ways, but light language is a really exciting one because it helps us bridge that understanding of communication directly.
So it's not so much a language as it is like a vibration. I mean, I guess that's a language. I mean, you're right. You're feeling the vibration.
In essence, it's kind of both, because it comes in a lot of different ways. And some of them are, from our band of linear right here, some of them are more connected. So they're still kind of linear. Some of them are less linear, but they're still kind of linear. And then you can get to bands that are just not anywhere near the linearity that we would expect. And that is what we're always doing, receiving and emitting vibration. So it's actually both of those. That's a great way to explain it, though.
And what was the other thing you said that got you into it? What did you call it? Your with the C
Crystalline soul healing.
Yes. Crystalline. Yeah, talk about that a little bit. Yes.
So crystalline soul healing is ultimately separate from light language, because it's a healing modality that you can do. It's silent. There's no movement to it, that flows along with light language very well because it is silent and people are hearing and seeing the light language. The light language started for me back in the early 2000s when I had an axiatonal alignment. And that just happened to open up that natural capability in me. And so as I was working on people, it started flowing through audibly and visually with the movements.
Was that an Eric Pearl axiatonal alignment? Was that his?
Yes, somebody that had done the reconnection did that. Yes, back in that day. Actually, we drove here to Sedona from Los Angeles, and he did the axiatonal alignment on me here.
Oh, because Suzanne and I know the person who came up with axiatonal lines, J.J. Hurtak. Do you know his work?
Oh, yes. In fact, my Keys of Enoch book is open because I was just marking through it day before yesterday. And Toshiro Tachi Ren did a very detailed version of the axiatonal alignment in the early 90s. And so I ultimately incorporated her version of it. She was a walk-in that has now walked out. But yeah, very, very profound, and also a natural thing to us, that axiatonal system.
So that opened you up to, what is axiatonal? I know JJ's work, but what is the axiatonal lines?
It is like our universal meridian system. So the meridians that are in the body that flow energy, the axiatonal system extends out into the energy field. And we naturally have that because we communicate with grids that are all around the earth. But what the axiatonal system does is that also brings that universally. So the macrocosmic meridian system, and it opens up that unified energy field more, and that cosmic energy can flow into the subtle and then the physical bodies. So it really supports us through ascension because it's helping the body deal with that higher frequency connection.
Wow. So what are you going to be talking about in September coming up? What?
Yes. So one thing that I love that Suzanne did with the format of this is she wanted it to be a deeper dive into some of our specialties. So for me, that specialty is light language. And what I'll be doing on my outdoor journey, which is on Thursday, I will be taking people outdoors here in beautiful Sedona to connect with the land, connect with the elementals, and start tuning into that multidimensional communication that's already there. So we'll go out on the land, have light language activations, and do some guided work to expand that. And then, of course, when I present on Friday, I will be going in a little bit more in detail to some of the meta science that is indicating why light language is so natural to us and why it's expanding more, especially with these interesting times that we are in, where there's old systems breaking down, these new inner systems are expanding and amplifying. So I'll be doing a little of the scientific backup for the light language. And then, of course, on my workshop, I'll integrate the light language and the crystalline soul healing so that people are understanding that natural expansion more deeply, not just through the mental, but through the experience of it. So I'm so excited about this because taking people in deeper into the things that are natural to us and yet kind of out there still on the fringe a bit, that's where it gets really exciting because we are the new normal, even though not everybody accepts that yet.
Right. Yeah. Well, go ahead, Suzanne. Yes.
So, Jamie, I've always had this question about light language and having your book and your cards. It's been a great experience of sort of understanding how the language of light comes through verbally, but then you also have the cards where it's written. So, can you talk about how those two modalities of sharing the light language complement each other, what the purpose of each, and also their combined effect?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question because if we think about our communication and it coming into the physical realm, we're either verbalizing something or we're externalizing it with our body, hello, or we're writing it. So when we think about the externalization of it, it's going to come through in a normal way that we communicate or express into the physical realm. So the verbal aspects of it, whether you're speaking or singing, they have a lot of context for us already. We think of it as a direct communication, and the spoken will have a little bit more informative feeling. So I find that the galactics like to speak light language a lot, verbalize it a lot. And then the singing will have a little bit more of a nurturing or an emotional context for us because that's what music naturally does. And so I find that the angelics, the elementals, they like to sing a lot. Those that are connected to Earth, some of our ancient Earth languages or future Earth languages. Now that's a generalization. Galactics can sing as well, but that verbalization will have some of that context to it. And then, of course, the signed, when it's coming through the movement of our bodies and writing into the field, that is one of the more subtle forms because it's not something that we are so accustomed to holding on to. Like we'll hold on to words in our head, or we'll hold on to music, or we'll hold on to something that's written. It has a little more density to it. So the signed form that writes into the energy field is very subtle. And so it speaks directly to the subtle. So I find that it can be very transformative because there's less of the mental constructs resisting that flow. And always the higher self is what's releasing and activating, choosing how the effect of that light language would be. And then the written form is the densest form. And we even have context with this. Oh, that's written in stone, or that context comes from the times where only the elites or the authorities had the capability to read and write, or especially to write. And then how things would get distributed was coming from elites that has really broken down as the technology could more easily support everyone expressing themselves. So that has the most density to it. And so it gives us a reference point to come back to, and yet still the multidimensionality is in there. So the higher self will be pulling whatever is necessary from that information in the moment, taking that from its waveform into its linear form. And I find that one form by itself is just as powerful, but definitely when you combine forms, you are adding other layers of potentiality or communication layers that just provide that greater access of how it's being received. And of course, it's not always externalized, but that's how we deal with our communication. And so the understanding that through the context of that multidimensionality is an important step for us becoming more conscious about the multidimensionality that we are.
Well, that sounds great. I liked how you bring the science into it too, you know? And well, so what do you think, Suzanne? This interview would not be complete unless we actually heard some light language from Jamie. Is that
For
okay?
sure, Alan. Thank you. How do you feel about that, Jamie?
Absolutely. It's always available to us. And I love that sacred communication. So I'm more than happy to.
So could you
Nice.
just tell us like what you do internally so people can maybe follow along with you, get there?
Yes, that is how I like to frame this so that we're really becoming accustomed to interacting in that multidimensional way. So what I would recommend to everyone as I'm about to begin, and I'll talk you through it, but as I'm doing the frequencies, just see what you notice. Do you notice any physical sensations, of psychic impressions, any kind of unusual thoughts or emotions that arise? Because that's your natural intuitive communication showing you how your higher self is choosing to release or activate in contact with that transmission. So, what I will do is just allow whatever's for our highest good to come through, and your higher self will then release and activate for you. So, everyone, just take a nice, relaxing breath and see what you notice. Amnura krayat ut ansacharatutum, branat ukorat akrielerat tuma, and dokrorit im brot sancharat aklail rinend etiarutsum. Chanu ramdak urkrat and krail rananat him sukorat and. Karu, sa, samjura. Samjura karandat ham, bran andhat it such okrorit am, bron hatiratama at grel rakranat en such urmat brorit angriat an. Sukuaran hat im ushurtot kramachon andeat akrael ranandat im such brandat em sukrorata. Sum shire ukurt and korat. Kramachand atukral ranandat im sukrorat id and granat am stayak at sanj urukral rananet em. Hapran at saim dar. Sukur staim sanjadaka. Akranat am sukuratal rananet am bran unum akrandat en sun sharak and kan declared on sukuam akai. Sakai aka. shanor oratad bran aninat okorum granstayek lelam akchenet kro. Sumshai grandat ham. Danur nen suma shan grandat hem akail okwam dan sa. Good, good. Another relaxing breath. Nice. Interesting.
It was like a combination of instruction and transmission in a sense.
Yeah.
You got that, Suzanne?
Interesting.
Yes. Oh, wait, you're muted, Suzanne. Wait, unmute. Thanks.
I felt like it was a teaching, like
Yeah.
you're saying, as
Yeah.
well as the vibrational transmission, and the body language was much part of both.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Is there a translation for it, or is it more just your emanating vibration? There's no translation you could do, right?
It depends. And there's always translation, quote unquote, in the sense that there's information flow happening that you can be aware of. There's not always a verbal translation when I'm verbalizing in that sense, because some of it's a little more nonlinear than that. And for that particular one, it was a little more nonlinear than that, but there was some threads. So some of the things that I was experiencing during that, there was a lot of physical shift going on all around the head, the throat, and the heart, especially. And I had the sense, especially in the beginning, that there was a mix of galactic energies, but I was feeling a lot of Sirian and I was feeling a lot of Pleiadian at different parts in that. Doesn't mean they were the only ones. But that whole first part really felt like it was about holding that focus of connection with the heart and mind, and shifting the way that we're perceiving things. And then towards the middle-ish end, there was a time where I could feel the right side of the brain and the imagery like expanding, and the imagery that I was given was as if wings were applying there. And I had that vision come up recently. I think it was in light language class recently, but this whole expansion of the head, there was something with that, but this time very right brain focused. So our conceptual and that intuitive flow.
Great. Wow. So, are you channeling some other being, or is this your higher self? I mean, what exactly, who's the language from?
Yeah. So the higher self is always the filter. And that's generally where people will start, that they're channeling the higher self. They're accessing things that are directly connected to them. That particular channeling was other energies as well. So my guides are always there, but I will access whatever energy is necessary for that, resonant to that intention, even if it is just for the highest good. That's the energy of all those that are watching or will be watching, that it's for their highest good as well. So yeah, that was not just my higher self.
Right.
You know what I liked about like not necessarily translating it, and I know you and I met for coffee in Sedona and we kind of talked about that, interpreting, translating, but isn't it kind of cool, Alan, too, like how it's open to interpretation then? So we're not, dictating to people like what it means. Like they have then the opportunity to interpret it for themselves and have a personal experience of translating what it meant for them.
Right. And it's about how do you feel? How did it make you? It's about feeling the vibration. Yes, I agree. Yes.
Yeah. And so important for this time that we're in, because what the language represents is moving beyond just the linear, contextualized, memorized, and understanding the individuality within the connection. And so that personal experience has a lot of one, it's going to happen anyway, because the higher self is releasing and activating specific for you in that moment. So if you go back to the same transmission an hour later, you could have a different experience because your higher self is releasing and activating something different.
Mm.
But it's so pertinent to what we are going through now, as our ascension journey is all about that empowered sovereignty that still entails the connection that we have here, but the empowerment within it. And that unique experience is part of that, that we understand how we're interacting with things individually and collectively or connectedly. So
Mm.
I love that. And then it helps people to have their own experience with it. So then rather than, oh, Jamie told me that's how I know, this is happening in my life or whatever, it's the wisdom that unfolds from within. And so that empowerment becomes ever more supported as we're honoring our unique interactions with our communication.
Great, great, great. Well, Jamie's going to be there in Sedona, September 19th, 20, and is it the 19th and the 20th? 21st, right? Yes.
Yes, 19th to 21st. And we so hope that you can join us, Alan. I know you have a super
Definitely.
busy event
Yes.
schedule, but we'd love for you to be there.
I love
And
being there. Yes.
Jamie, so Lisa Royal Holt wrote the foreword to your book, and I highly recommend her book and the cards. She was so nice to gift them to me. And I saw, too, that Lisa Royal Holt had written the foreword to your book, which was very cool because Lisa's going to be there. And when Lisa came to visit here in Sedona just last week, we went out into the Red Rocks of Sedona and I filmed her. And there she started channeling Hamon. And so I'm just proposing that maybe you and I go out in the Red Rocks and film a little something that then we can share with Alan and his fans, and then we'll
Yeah.
put it on the homepage of the website.
Sounds
Great.
great. Yeah.
It's going to be a fun conference, really, really fun and informative and next level vibration because Sedona is already a high vibration. So just bringing all this through in Sedona. Yeah.
Definitely. Going out on the land in these outdoor journeys is just such an important part of our events because, of course, we are in Sedona, and the people like Jamie, to go out there with them and give them such a energetic connection in the vortex through light language and all the beautiful things that she does and teaches. So awesome.
Great.
Yes.
So, Jamie, how can people find you? What's your website? And you want to show us your book and
Yes. I don't have them right here next to me,
okay. But
but
just
yeah, my website is my name, jamieprice.com, and there's all kinds of information on there. I've been channeling for well over a decade now, light language for a couple of decades now. So jamieprice.com is where you can find everything, my book, my card deck, and all the classes that I'm teaching, etc.
great. And Suzanne, just give them people the website again for the upcoming conference.
Yes, it's Sedona Transcendence Retreat.com. And then we have an early bird special through June 1st.
Okay, great. Good, good, good. No, thank you. Anything else we want to communicate on this program here,
Well, I
Suzanne?
hope you do join us, Alan, because you always co-host with me, and
I
it's so
know.
much
I think
fun.
I will. It's just so much fun. It's
We
so
had
much
so
fun.
much fun in March. I love co-hosting with you, and you just bring
Yeah.
such a beautiful
And,
energy always.
and we had a big article about us or the conference in what was it, the Hollywood
In the
Reporter?
Hollywood Times,
Time.
right?
Yes. So
Across the multiverse, he called it.
maybe they'll come back. And
He
Jamie,
is.
oh, good, good, good.
Yeah. Yes,
Are
he is
you-
coming back, and they also have a YouTube channel, Alan, and he invited, me to come on. And also, if you're, when you
yeah.
confirm, you can come on too. And it's
Okay.
the Hollywood Times YouTube channel, and he's going to interview us about our Sedona Transcendence Retreat.
Great. 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 Anything coming up for you before that September, Jamie? Anything you're doing?
Um, I am teaching light language and crystalline soul healing. They're two separate modalities. I'm teaching them both online starting in July. So information about that is on my website,
Great.
jamieprice.com.
Thank you, JamiePrice.com.
Thank you, Alan.
And don't forget, Alan, your book, Making Contact, right there.
Have you seen my book, Jamie?
Nice. I have not.
Oh,
I'll have to order it.
yes. Anyone watching can order on Amazon, and yeah, it's a whole overview of the UFO phenomena. I'm working on another one that is even going to go further, so we'll see how that goes. And Suzanne, what about you? What besides the Transcendence Retreat? What else is coming up for you?
Thanks for asking. I just started my spiritual guide certification course, and my students and I are immersed in that right now, and I just love teaching that course. I just started a school called Sacred. It's Spiritual Academy courses and resource for enlightenment and divinity. And so it's the seal on the certifications for my courses, because I also have a Transcendence Guide course. And I'm looking to make that into an app.
Wow. Great, great, great. And we have a bunch more interviews coming up in the next few weeks, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I can't wait to interview the others. But
Yeah.
Jamie, gosh, thanks so much for taking the time with us today. I just fell in love with you the first time I met you, and I just can't wait to go out into the Red Rocks with you.
Nice. Me too.
Okay, Suzanne, I will be in touch. I think we're doing something. Is it tomorrow? I think we're doing something.
Yeah,
All right. Who are we interviewing tomorrow? So people.
I think it's Vincent Jenna.
Oh, right. Vincent Jenner, another fantastic sort of channel guide, intuitive. Yes, great. So stay tuned to this channel and you'll see more of these live interviews about the Transcendent Retreat in September. Thank you. Thanks, Suzanne. Thanks, Jamie, for
Mwah.
Thank you, Alan.
Alan. Love to all.
Thanks, Suzanne. Bye bye.
new realities. Thanks for tuning in.